You are Locked On Giants Postcast, part of Locked On Sports San Francisco on the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Locked On Giants Postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. You may know me as the former producer for the Murph and Mac Morning Show on KMBR 680. And today, the Giants get walked off by the Snakes out in the desert as Pavin Smith smashes a two-run jack to dead center field in the bottom of the ninth. With the 4-2 loss, the losing streak extends to 5 games. That's now back-to-back outings where the Giants have fallen apart late after they were so good in late game situations on their last road trip. And the injuries, they continue to pile up. Can the Giants stay afloat long enough to make a playoff push once they finally get healthy? We'll break it all down. But first, I want to thank all of you for watching us on the Locked On Sports San Francisco YouTube channel. Please hit that subscribe button if you aren't already subscribed. Thanks also for listening on the Locked On Giants podcast feed. However you're getting the show, we appreciate it. And make sure to check out the Locked On Giants Daily Show for more in-depth coverage. Ben Kaspick does a great job. And today's show is sponsored by SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to get parts fast. Shop for your next plumbing, HVAC, or electrical job and get fast shipping from coast to coast at SupplyHouse.com. So before we get into this game, just a disclaimer. Yes, my voice is extra raspy today. I as a lot of you know, I was gone on a bachelor party in Hawaii for like 5 days. So you can imagine it's, I'm playing a little hurt today, you could say, I guess. But it was a fun trip. What was not so fun was watching the Giants lose the entire time I was there, man. Like we took a break from the Locked On Giants postcast, and the Giants took a break from winning games, man. And they still haven't figured out how to get back in the win column. They've now lost, as I said, 5 games in a row. They got swept by the Yankees. They lost that game to the Phillies. When we signed off last time, we had dreams of a sweep of the Phillies, winning that Yankees series, having a homestand where they maybe would lose 1 game, maybe 2. And instead they end up losing 4 and only winning 2. Oh man, that's frustrating. And then you think that they can get right against the Diamondbacks. I mean, they had played obviously the Yankees and the Phillies, much better teams than the Diamondbacks. And I'm not really shocked that the Giants lost those games, if I'm being honest. I am shocked that they got swept, but you're going to lose games to the Phillies and the Yankees. They're just too good, man. Those are 2 teams that we could be seeing at the end of this season in the Fall Classic. Tough for you to go against those 2 teams in back-to-back series. I was really hoping that this was going to be the get-right game, especially since we had a show coming back today. I figured with the Locked On Giants postcast returning, so would the Giants wins. And it was right there for the taking, man. Let's get through it. Eric Miller got the start in this bullpen game. He gave up a few hits in that first inning, but came out unscathed. And similar to his last start, or if you want to call it that, the last bullpen game the Giants had, Spencer Howard followed him up, came in, and immediately gives up a bomb to Gurriel. And that did not make, this fellow Cal Poly alum very happy, nor did it make me very happy about my Giants, as they were then down 1-0. And he continued to give up a bunch of hard contact in that top of the second inning. Suarez tripled off the wall. It was nearly a home run. And then a single from Blaze Alexander scored Suarez. The Diamondbacks took a 2-0 lead there in the top of the second. But then Howard settled down. He cruised along until about the 6th inning. Bottom of the 6th inning, he came out for Sean Jelly. Didn't give up any more runs. So he more or less did his job. That second inning was rough, but you'll take 2 runs over 4 or 5 innings in a bullpen game from your long relief guy. I think that's not the end of the world. That's something that the Giants should be able to battle back from. It's something got to battle back from if you want to win games. Bullpen games, you're not going to pitch shutouts. That's very, very, very rare. So you're going to need the offense to show up in games like that. And today they really didn't. The Giants they collected 8 hits, only mustered 2 runs, and they couldn't really get any sort of rallies going. All those hits were scattered. Giants stranded 4 runners on base, 1 for 6 in scoring position, grounded into a couple double plays. They were not very good at the dish tonight, except for Brett Wisely, who picked up 2 hits, and Elliot Ramos, who picked up 2 hits. Matt Chapman also picked up a couple hits, but the rest of the lineup didn't really do a whole lot. And Wisely, his average up now to 350, his OPS 8-16. He just keeps hitting, man. And this guy had an extra base hit in this one, scored a run. He had a double. Him leading off, starting at second base. I really like Brett Wisely in this lineup, man. I've said this continuously on the postcast, but Brett Wisely, the best ability is availability, and that is what Brett Wisely gives you with all of the different positions that he can play. Since he's been in a Giants uniform, we've seen him play shortstop, second base, first base, center field. I mean, have we seen him at third base? I think we did last season at some point. But Brett Wisely has been so valuable for the Giants, especially with all these injuries. Having a guy that can play all these different positions pretty well. He's a plus. I'm not going to say he's a plus glove at every position, but he doesn't hurt you at key positions like shortstop, and that's very important for a guy like that to stay on the roster. So in the top of the fourth, the Giants did cut that D-backs lead after three innings. They didn't have a single base runner against Ryan Nelson, who had a really nice outing today for the Diamondbacks. He kept his pitch count pretty low for the majority of this one, and he had some struggles once he got runners on base pitching from the stretch. He was a little bit wild at times, but it not wild enough for the Giants to really capitalize. When he would miss up, but it was up enough that he wasn't getting hurt by it. Giants weren't really able to make a ton of contact on those pitches left up in the zone, or the ones that were high up out of the zone that they swung through. Wisely managed to pick up a single in that top of the fourth inning to end that drought after he moved over to second base on a productive ground out. Matt Chapman doubles into the left center field gap to score Wisely. I thought Matt Chapman could have had a triple on that play potentially, but you never want to make the last out of an inning at third base. He held up at second. Giants cut the D-backs lead to 2-1. Matt Chapman was not able to score in that inning. We keep rolling in the top of the sixth. Wisely comes up with his second hit of the game, doubles with one out, and was able to get to third with a productive Pat Bailey ground out, but Matt Chapman couldn't drive him in with 2 outs. Tying run at that point, stranded on third base. And Ryan Nelson was just dealing tonight. As I said, he kept that pitch count down for the majority of the night, and he was just getting the Giants to not really striking out a lot of guys, but getting them to hit into a lot of weak contact. It wasn't really giving up a ton of deep drives into the outfield. He 7.2 innings, or 7 2/3 innings for Ryan Nelson, only gave up 2 earned runs, 6 hits, had the 1 strikeout. He did give up a bomb, however, as in the top of the 7th, Elliot Ramos, man, this guy just keeps on raking. I mean, we talked about Brett Wisely. Now we got to talk about Ramos. Hits a bomb over the right center field wall, very deep out there. Wall is 413, but did not matter to Elliot Ramos. Smashed that hanging cutter way out of here. 105.8 miles an hour off the bat. 420 feet. What a good number, man. Always love me a good 420. And ties it up 2-2. You know, Elliot Ramos loves those 420s too. The 420-foot bombs is what I'm talking about. 2-2. Giants tie it up in the 7th. Tyler Rogers comes in for the Giants in the 8th inning. Sean Jelly was the guy who bridged the gap between Rogers and Spencer Howard in this one. Jelly pitched great. Tyler Rogers pitched great. Tyler Rogers came in at back-to-back strikeouts. Then in the top of the 9th, the Giants had another chance here to take the lead, and I thought they were going to for a second. I think we all did. We all thought Soler looked safe on the play to me. On the replay review, he was called out. Matt Chapman in the top of the 9th singles. Ramos singles, moves Chapman over to third. You got runners at the corners with 2 outs, and Jorge Soler at the dish hits a high chopper down the third baseline, deep in the hole. Suarez fields it, and his throw is way high and pulls Walker off the bag. But Walker, man, what a great play by him over at first base. That guy is a very underrated first baseman. He's a 30-plus home run guy, 40-plus home run guy, and is a pretty good defender out there too. Makes tons of great digs at first base. That guy is, I mean, you get rid of Paul Goldschmidt and they just get another one right back there. It's so frustrating. And he to his credit, made a great tag on Soler to tag him out before he stepped on the base, despite being pulled off the bag by the high throw. What I didn't see on the broadcast at all was if the runner crossed the plate before the tag. I mean, they didn't call him safe, so I'm assuming that he did not, but we didn't get the view of it on the broadcast, and that kind of bothered me, man. I want to see that play. I want to see with my own eyes. I don't want to just take their word for it. I mean, we got guys like Angel Hernandez out here. I can't just be taking, I mean, not anymore. Thank God that guy retired, but I can't be taking these guys' words for it. I need to see it with my own 2 eyes. So maybe I just missed it. If you saw a clear angle of that, let me know in the comments below. But I was kind of frustrated by that, honestly. I would wish that the broadcast would be able to show like the field view shot of that. I don't know why we weren't able to see it. Nonetheless, Soler is out on replay review after he was initially called safe, and the run doesn't score. So we go into the bottom of the ninth, tied 2-2, and I have been banging on the door for a Randy Rodriguez high leverage moment, and here we go. He comes in with the game tied in the ninth inning, and he gives up a double to McCarthy and then a Pavin Smith bomb to straightaway center field. 4-2, ball game over. Diamondbacks win, and that home run was no cheapie. 424 feet, out distances Ramos by 4 feet. Not by a ton, but if we're playing whose is longer, Pavin Smith wins today. And at 105.7 off the bat, that thing was a no doubter. And even if it hadn't gone out, it would have hit off the wall, and McCarthy would have been able to score. Nonetheless, the Diamondbacks beat the Giants. The Giants losing streak now sits at 5 games, and they got some problems, man. The injuries are mounting. The young guys are cooling off. How long can they tread water and stick around 500 before things start to kind of collapse around them? We got to talk about that, whether or not the Giants can hang around long enough, weather the storm, the injury barrage long enough that they can make a playoff run once these guys start to come back. But I mean, Wisely and Ramos are going to need to keep carrying this team the way that they have been, and if they're going to have any shot at that, we'll break down that and more on the other side. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Get supplies from the site that's made for skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. SupplyHouse.com is the reliable way to order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Shop a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands and get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping from coast to coast. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business and talk to a real person every time. I love that, man. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trade Master program. Every Trade Master gets access to a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every single order. Join the thousands of trade pros that already benefit from their free membership at supplyhouse.com/T-M and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at supplyhouse.com. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel, and the Giants fall again, 5th game in a row, 4-2 to the Arizona Diamondbacks out there in the desert. And man, Chase Field, it's just a weird place, man. Like, they got a swimming pool in the outfield. It's just a weird place for baseball. And it just looks weird on TV too. It always looks kind of dark in there. And that darkness, I guess, crept into the Giants today has been creeping into the Giants for a while. I mean, 5 consecutive losses after they were riding as high as they were from beating the Phillies those first 2 games of that series, sweeping the Rockies, and then having that great road trip that they had afterwards, where they had all those comeback wins, and they were just riding high, man. To steal a Cal Poly saying, ride high, but it just wasn't enough as they have fallen off in recent games. I mean, you run into the buzzsaw of the Yankees. The Phillies took that last game of that series, and the Diamondbacks, who are just about as good as the Giants, looked pretty evenly matched with them today. And I think this might be a little bit of the Giants kind of regressing to what they really are. And that sucks to say, man, but let's be real. This team has a ton of injuries. You got a bunch of young guys who are really punching above their weight for a while. I mean, Wisely's hitting 350. I mean, Ramos and Matos were, driving in every single run for the Giants, it felt like, in these last couple of weeks. And you just can't have all these guys producing at once and have that as your expectation. Like, it's great that they were doing that for that period of time, but that is not the norm. That's not what it's regularly going to be. You're not going to hit 350 all season long in your rookie year. That's just not going to happen. Matos, who had 20 RBIs or whatever in his first week, that's not going to happen every single week. These guys are regressing to what they really are because they were playing so far above, I mean, just out of their minds these last couple of weeks. And the Giants have, with all the injuries, they're struggling right now. And Blake Snell hitting the injured list. I know that is a very big hot button topic. Blake Snell, anytime his name comes up, just gets people so angry. But that's going to hurt the Giants more and more and more. Even if you weren't a fan of Snell, I mean, that's another bullpen game the Giants got to figure out. Maybe we're going to get Mason Black again. I mean, they got so many guys still on the injured list. It's been tough. I mean, when you have a whole pitching staff down there on the injured list, I mean, Tristan Beck still not back. Alex Cobb still not back. Robbie Ray, he's working back. He wasn't expected to be back yet. Keaton Wynn, he threw a bullpen on Friday, and he should get a rehab assignment starting tomorrow in AAA. So that's a positive sign. Maybe he can come back before Snell's next start, but that would be a little bit rushed. So you have to imagine the Giants are going to have yet another bullpen game mixed in here somewhere. In all these innings that you pile on the bullpen are going to continue to add up. I mean, the bullpen gave up 4 runs in these nine innings today. It's not the best outing in the world from your pen, but it's not the worst either when you consider how much they're being used in the positions that they're being put in. You need your starting pitchers to pitch better, flat out. I mean, today we didn't have a starter, obviously. I mean, Eric Miller, 1 inning, he did his job, if you want to call that a start. But all these innings mount up and mount up and mount up. And when you have a guy like Spencer Howard, as much as I love the Cal Poly kid out there, Cal Poly pride all day, every day, you can't expect him to do what he did last time out and toss 4 or 5 scoreless innings. I mean, that's not realistic. This guy is a long reliever who just got called up from AAA for a reason. The Giants, they clearly still lack that big bat. We did see the return of Michael Conforto in this one, which is positive. It's a guy coming back from the injured list. That's great. He didn't do anything tonight. He went over 4 with a strikeout, but it's probably going to take him a little bit of time to get back into the swing of things. Conforto is very streaky. We know this about him. And once he gets going, hopefully sooner rather than later, hopefully everyone else is still kind of rolling too. Matt Chapman, Brett Wisely, Elliot Ramos. If you can mix in a Michael Conforto there, I think that does generate at least another run or run opportunity for the Giants in every single game that you have all 4 of those guys in there. If Soler can start hitting anytime, that would be great. I mean, we can see the swing adjustments. Kruk and Kuip were talking about it on the broadcast a little bit today. That swing isn't looking as long as it did in the beginning of the season, a little more compact. His hands, one thing that I always love hearing Will Clark talk about, who doesn't love hearing Will Clark talk about hitting, but my favorite thing that he always tells people to do, and he's very vocal about this, is keep your hands inside the ball. And that's looks to be what Soler's doing out there at the dish. And it seems to have changed how he's making contact with these pitches. He's just got to square him up a little bit better. And I think we'll start to see some changes with him pretty soon. The swing does look a lot better than it did earlier on in the season, but he is still not anywhere near where the Giants thought he would be. Just 216 on the season. He did pick up a hit tonight, and he was close to legging out that single. I mean, I like to see the hustle from him. I like that he hasn't, gotten so down on himself that he's just quitting on plays like that. But you need to see more from Jorge Soler in those moments. I mean, he has had so many opportunities this season with runners in scoring position, and time again, he continues to fail. It seems like he's getting a little bit closer every time for what it's worth. I mean, it was just a ground ball down the third baseline, but he did almost leg it out. You got to give the guy credit where, I'm not saying credit's due for recording it out, but he made as good of an effort as he could in that play. And you just want to see the big guys start hitting some big flies, and these infield groundouts with runners in scoring position, these infield flyouts, the flyouts and foul ground. All these things are just so discouraging to see from a guy that the Giants really expected to produce in a big way with the bat for this team. And he's just not been that guy. Just flat out hasn't been that guy. And the Giants honestly have struggled to find anybody to fill that void. Matt Chapman has been red hot lately. He was red hot for a while. He kind of cooled off a little bit in that homestand, but you got to expect that Matt Chapman's going to continue to kind of play around that level he's not going to be NL Player of the Week level. I know he didn't get the award, but I thought he should have He should have won it a couple weeks ago, but he's not going to play at that same level for the rest of the season. But he's gonna be up and down, and he's gonna kind of give you what you've been seeing, I think, over a mixed bag of these last 2 weeks. Some good, some bad. The defense is always going to be consistent, though. It's tough, man. I mean, Pat Bailey over 4 today. That hasn't happened too many times this season. Pat Bailey's been pretty consistent with the bat. But Matos on the bench today, I don't like seeing him not playing games. That I want to see the young kid in there at all times. Honestly, I think he's done so much, proven so much to this team that he doesn't. I think he's earned an everyday start right now over Mike Yastrzemski. I really do. I think Mike Yastrzemski should have been the guy to sit down when Conforto came back, and I'm interested to see what's going to happen if Austin Slater comes back from injury. I'm curious to see what the Giants do roster-wise. Is Matos going to get sent back down for Austin Slater? I think that would create just a massive volcanic eruption of negativity from Giants fans, because I know I want to see Matos up here. I think we all do too. But as these guys start to get healthy, Matos has cooled off a lot lately. His batting average down to 220. You wonder if they're going to send the kid down, or what they're going to do when a guy like Austin Slater comes back. Maybe they just DFA Slater, but I don't know, man. I get the feeling that they might not do that. We'll see what happens going forward, but these injuries, man, are really starting to mount up, and you're seeing it in the Giants play today. I mean, the bullpen looks kind of gassed. I mean, they performed okay for how they, how much they've been being used over the last couple of weeks, but they just look tired, and that's a lot because, especially over these last couple of days, that Yankees series at Oracle Park did not do any favors for the Giants bullpen. I mean, Logan Webb and Jordan Hicks getting smacked around set the Giants back today. I mean, this is, I think, kind of residual effects from that Yankee series, and hopefully the Giants can shake it off tomorrow, shake it off the next day. They still have a chance to win this series, and you got to start thinking about the schedule like that. If you just go out and try and win series against teams that you're better than, the Giants still have a chance to make the playoffs. I think they're better than the Diamondbacks, but it's pretty close, man. I mean, these two teams roster-wise, you look at them, I think the Giants roster on paper looks a lot better than the Diamondbacks roster on paper, but their pitching staff is consistently underrated. They have guys like Christian Walker who are just absolute studs. Gurriel is also really good. So they're not a bunch of nobodies. Corbin Carroll, what is this? It's been really weird watching this guy's season. Last year's Rookie of the Year in the conversation loosely for the MVP. In this year, he can't even get off the interstate, batting 192. Very, very, very strange for the Diamondbacks and Corbin Carroll. We got to take a quick break. Some more things to break down from tonight on the other side. Stick with us on the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. We'll be right back. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with over 5 million members. It was just 3 million a couple months ago. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. It's just you against the numbers. You pick more than or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections for a chance to win 100 times your money. Baseball season is officially underway, and there's no better way to cash in on the action than PrizePicks. Add your favorite players from the diamond to your PrizePicks lineups all season long. Whether it's strikeouts, RBIs, or first inning runs, take your pick of more or less and add them to your PrizePicks lineup today. You can now win up to 100 times your money with baseball-only lineups on PrizePicks. If you submit a winning lineup featuring 4 Demon Squares, you'll cash in big time on the biggest moments of baseball's early season. Download the app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. Again, download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. It's PrizePicks. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy. Welcome back to the Locked On Giants postcast. I'm your host, Eric Triple E Engel. Giants lose 4-2 tonight to the D-backs out there in Arizona. And man, it's now back-to-back games where the Giants have fallen apart late in games. I mean, Camilo Doval, we don't really got to get into that too much. I don't want to drag you guys through that pain again. I mean, Aaron Judge looks like he would have been such a great Giant. Juan Soto just is an amazing baseball player. I mean, it's tough when you lose games like you did that way, but it's even tougher when you come back the next night and you lose in the ninth inning again. I mean, Randy Rodriguez came out tonight. I'm assuming Camilo Doval probably would have pitched today if he hadn't pitched yesterday and had that implosion that he did. But instead we get Randy Rodriguez, who I've been banging on the door for because this guy's been great all season long. And this is really like the biggest disappointment that I've seen from him all season. He gave up that 2-run jack in the bottom of the ninth to Pavin Smith. He also gave up a double to McCarthy just before that. And I still want to see more from Rodriguez. I think this is going to be a spot that we see him in a lot as his career goes on. I think we'll see him in that setup role for Camilo Doval. And I think he's going to be successful more often than he's not. It's growing pains for the young kid in his rookie year, the 100-mile-an-hour flamethrower. I think he's going to be just fine on the mound, but losing 5 in a row, man, it's tough. You just want to do anything you can to stop the streak. And it's just a gut punch when you lose a game like that. The bullpen, as we said, they did okay today. I mean, Spencer Howard got the bulk of the work, 4 2/3 innings pitched. He only gave up 4 hits in those 4 innings, 2 runs, 2 earned, 3 Ks, that 1 jack. His ERA is just sitting around 2.08, and that's pretty solid for a guy who was down in AAA up until about a week ago. And Sean Jelly has been awesome all season long. Tyler Rogers, great too. And this bullpen has really started to come alive. And it sounds weird that we're talking about the bullpen pitching well on a game in a game where the bullpen just lost the game in the 9th inning. But in a bullpen game where you have a game in any game where your bullpen's pitching 9 innings, bullpen game or just super long extra innings game, they're going to give up some runs, man. That's what happens in baseball. You can't have every bullpen guy be, lights out Mariano Rivera closer status. So as I said in the prior segment, I really think that this game was kind of a loss of attrition. I mean, the beatdown from the Yankees, all the innings the bullpen has had to pitch in this homestand, in the homestand before hitting the road, it's catching up with them, I think. And it's going to be tough going forward. You need to have some of these guys come back from injury. Keaton Winn, hopefully he'll be back before the next slotted start for Blake Snell, but that's going to be a really quick turnaround. We'll see if they can do it. They do have an off day in between now and then, so maybe they get around to it. But the Giants are struggling in a bad way. With the loss, they fall to 29-32 on the season. It's tough with Blake Snell hitting that the IL. He's on the 15-day injured list with a left groin strain, and his timeline to return is uncertain, but it's a very real chance that it'll be out until around the All-Star break. It's a major blow for the Giants. I mean, the guy has not really been able to stay healthy all season or ever found his rhythm on the mound. And it's not a big blow in the sense of they're losing a guy that has been productive for them so far, but it's a big blow in the sense of what could be or what could. I mean, I think at this point, does Snell ever return to form this season? You got to start questioning that. And people already have been, but we're in June now, and this guy's still getting injuries. He still can't get past the 5th inning. He still can barely pitch into the 5th inning. Definitely isn't pitching past the 4th inning effectively at all. And he said it himself, spring training is a big deal. If you don't show up as a pitcher to spring training, it really could derail your season, and that's what we're seeing right now with Blake Snell. And that's tough to digest. I mean, this guy was expected to be, ace 1B to Logan Webb 1A. And last year's Cy Young Award winner has been nothing, not even a sliver of the guy that he was last year. The one silver lining to this is that if he can't figure it out this season, he will likely have to take that player option. If he wants that $30+ million salary, he'll have to take that player option for next year and come back, and maybe he figures it out then. Worst case scenario, he never figures it out and holds the Giants hostage for that $30 million next year. So, I mean, this is not good. This is not good for lack of better analysis. I mean, the Giants got to figure out a way to start winning some games. Right as they were getting hot, man, they just immediately cool off. Someone just dumped a bucket of ice water on them starting last Wednesday in 29-32 now. When we left when we left you guys before we signed off on the last Giants postcast, the Giants were over 500, man. And I come back and man, they just can't win any games right now. They have another shot at beating the D-backs tomorrow, and then one more again on Wednesday. Hopefully they can win both of those games and win this series, because I do think the Giants are better than the Arizona Diamondbacks, but it's going to be tough. The Giants, to be able to flip the switch like that, they haven't really been able to do that all season. I mean, this last winning streak that they had while they were on the road was kind of the only one of the season so far. So hopefully they can recapture some of that momentum. It's been elusive, to say the least, for the Giants this year. So tough way to lose the game. Very, very, very discouraging loss there in the 9th inning. Randy Rodriguez, that's going to happen for some of your young relievers. Some growing pains, especially when the bullpen's being used as much as it is. And like I said, hopefully they can come back tomorrow, bounce back, get a win. Yeah, they need one badly. Got to get a W sooner or later. Can't just let this streak continue. 5 games is long enough. If it gets longer, that starts getting into the scary territory. So we need to stop this streak as soon as possible. Hopefully it's tomorrow. That's all the time we got for you today. My voice is on life support right now. I got to sign off, go drink some water, maybe make myself some tea. I'll do as much vocal cord remedies as I can between now and tomorrow's Locked On Giants postcast, which will come to you live following Giants Diamondbacks. First pitch is at 6:40 tomorrow, 6:40 Pacific. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate you guys sticking with us. Sorry I was gone for so long, man. I promise if another one of my friends has a 5-day long bachelor party, I'll tell them not to plan it during Phillies Yankees series, because what the hell, man. Happy to be back. Happy to have you guys join in the show. I appreciate you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time. Peace.